Hi, Captain. How you feeling?
Hello.
You got me?
Yes, sir. We sure do.
Oh, you just hung up.
You're on, Catherine.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we have a special guest, Samuel Kelly. He's been a visitor here before, but we are definitely honored to have him as a special guest tonight. Mr. Kelly was sentenced to 20 years in 1999 and was transferred to Leavenworth Prison. That is where he met his friend of more than 23 years, Leonard Peltier. Mr. Kelly started a unity organization in Leavenworth to unite inmates and to stop the violence in prison. Mr. Kelly attributes most of his success to Leonard Peltier. Mr. Kelly will also share what life is like in prison and the lessons he has learned from Leonard Peltier. And once again, welcome. And we're so glad you're here, Samuel. And we're going to turn the platform over to you towards the end of the meeting. If we have any questions in the chat or whatever, we'll ask you if you want to ask you the question.
Yeah. All right. First of all, let me make a little small correction. I was sentenced to life with no possibility of parole in 1994. I did 27 years of prison before I was released. I got my case overturned in 2019, and I came out of prison on December 3rd, 2020. And here I am today. And first of all, I want to just thank everyone for giving me the opportunity, the platform here tonight, to talk to you guys about my dear friend Leonard and the struggle that he goes through every day being incarcerated. A lot of people don't really understand how it is to have a life sentence in the federal prisons. And not only to have a life sentence, but how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? Inside a prison, we're like in a different world. You're in a bubble, and time actually stands still from outside. Right now, most of Leonard's memories are from the day that he got incarcerated. And those are the most vivid memories he's going to have. When he comes out of prison, and we pray that he's going to be out here before this year is out, it's going to be a real shock. Because although he's in contact with everybody, and you talk to him and you update him on things that's happening in society, we're in a world inside of this world. And that bubble, it's hard to contemplate what's really going on in the outside world until you hit it. The day that he walks out of that prison, the first day when he walks out that gate, and everybody who had a life sentence and they walked out that gate, it feels like 1,000 pounds just came off of you. That's how it feels, like 1,000 pound weight just was released from you. And guys who used to tell me that said, they call me Tiz. They said, Tiz, when you walk out, it's different. And the day that I walk out I left Otisville, FCI, on December 3rd, 2020. And I felt like a weight that just came off of me. And it's going to take a minute for him to really capture the freedom, being back in society with everybody. And it's going to take, guys are going to have to be patient with him. It's going to take him a little while it took me almost a year to learn how to use the phone. And I got a smartphone. Because when he came into prison, they didn't have all this technology. He was using a dime payphone. It wasn't even a quarter, it was 10 cents. And now there's no payphones no more on the streets. So many things that he was used to on a day-to-day basis, because every day in prison is the same. You have a routine. You get up in the morning for chow, you come back for count, you go to your arts and craft or whatever social activity you might be going to. You come back for a lunch chow, go back out after the count again. You come back in for 3 o'clock, the 4 o'clock count. Then you go to chow. After that, you go back to your other activities, and that's the rest of your day. And that's the same day every single day. Monday to Sunday, the same day. There's nothing changed. When they have holidays, the only thing might change is the time that they're gonna have the activities, or the time they're gonna do chow, whether it's gonna be a later chow or earlier chow. Outside of that, your days are the same every single day. So you get used to that. And when you come on the streets back in society, it's not like that no more. You have freedom that you didn't really realize that you didn't have freedom. Because now you can get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and walk out your door, go to the store, or go sit outside, or go for a walk where you couldn't do that before. You can go walk to the park. You can go to the store and buy anything you want to eat, any supermarket, and his eyes are going to be going crazy because he got a sweet tooth anyway. And it's so many. I remember they got a Publix here where I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know if they have Publix there where you guys at. And I remember walked into the Publix supermarket. They got a delicatessen there. They got a bakery there. And they got every kind of cake, pastry that you want. And I'm just looking, and I'm like, they never sold this in the commissary. And if you're not disciplined, you're just going to start gorging all down. But I'm so excited for the day that Leonard walks out this door and gets back in society with everyone, his friends and loved ones. And I would like to be there for him to help give him some guidance on getting back into society, readjusting into society. Because it's a readjustment that he's going to have to go through. Everybody who went through, who came out with a life sentence, especially after doing the amount of time he did. People ask me every day, how did you do 27 years? And I tell them, one day at a time. That's all I did, one day at a time. You don't think about the thing that you think about is, I'm getting out. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week. It might not even be next year, but I'm coming out because I'm never going to give up. And Leonard is one of the prime people who never gave up. He's always fighting, and he has so many supporters. He's a lucky man in that aspect, because there's so many people incarcerated who really don't have that support system, who don't have people who's encouraging them, who's waiting for them, who's writing them, who's sending them funds. And their day is a little bit different. They eat off the land and that's it. And they don't have certain luxuries that maybe other people in prison have, and they let the prison become their home. And the society is just a dream away. With Leonard and myself and other people who never gave up, we never made the prison our home. Although we were assigned to maybe cell 214 or 236, we never made that our home. And that's the difference from a person who becomes institutionalized and a person who fighting for their freedom. You can't let that become your home. But many young people coming in the prison system now, I've watched them over the 27 years I've been incarcerated. They get little small bits. And when we call a small bit 10, 15 years, 20 years, we call that a small bit. And They'll come home, come into prison, do 10 years, go out, then come right back, do 5 years to go out, then come back again, where they made their prison their home and the streets nothing but a vacation. If there's anybody, any questions anyone needs to ask about the prison system or how a person really feels being in prison, because everyone's feelings a little bit different, but most people who have a life sentence, our community is different from a person who has a date, because we're like the Groundhog Day, that movie, The Groundhog Day. Every day you wake up, it starts all over again. It's the same day, starts all over again. And with a life sentence in the parole, in the Federal Bureau of Prison, that means you come out in a box. That means every day that you do does not count. Every day that Leonard has done, every year that he's been in prison right now did not count, does not count until the day his life sentence is removed. The day that his life sentence is removed, then it starts counting. But right now, all these years he's been incarcerated, it's just like he just came in the first year. It doesn't count at all. And that is something that you have to be a strong-minded person to deal with, because that could crush, I've seen it crush a lot of people when they realize every day, well, my man, he got 10 years. So he knows that in 8 years and 6 months, he's going to be going home. So every day is getting closer to that day of his release day. But with a life sentence, every day is just Groundhog Day. We just start all over again and start all over again. So you have to do one day at a time. And that's what I've done over the period of time I've been incarcerated. As Catherine told you earlier in her statement about me, my bio, in 1999, we started a unity council in Leavenworth Penitentiary. And how we started, why we started, there was a lot of violence happening in prison. So we organized with all the different groups and came together. And I remember we went on the yard, and the first thing when they saw it, the guards didn't know what was going on. They have pavilions under the yard. We went in the pavilion, and the captain came out there and the lieutenants came out there because they thought it was a riot. And we're saying, you know, we're talking about peace. We want to bring peace to this compound. And the warden gave us the okay, the captains gave us the okay. And we started a council that stopped a lot of the violence in Leavenworth Penitentiary. And Leonard was a big part of helping me organize that. He helped me get to know all the different heads of the groups, and we able to do something that really transpired through all the prisons and help the administration open up different groups and organizations that help benefit the inmate population. And anything that I feel anything that when a person comes incarcerated, that you try to help yourself and help others, because we all make bad choices and bad decisions in our lives. But that can't define you if you try to rehabilitate yourself. And you can't rehabilitate other people until you rehabilitate yourself. With myself, I had to look at the man in the mirror. It was, and I used to have an argument with the person in the mirror. And I had a single cell like Leonard had a single cell. And you would think that I'm having a big fight with someone in that cell. And the person I was having a fight with was myself. So I had to learn how to forgive myself for all the bad choices and the bad decisions that I made before I can even forgive anybody else. And I learned that in order for me to help my family, my loved ones, my friends, I had to learn forgiveness. And sometimes it's very hard because we might be incarcerated, not because of our own doings, but because of the doings of other people who are around us. And I had to learn to forgive them too. And my case was a big case. I had a big drug conspiracy, and I was one of the kingpins on it. They charged me with an 848 was the kingpin statute. But I learned to forgive not only myself, but all the people who might have testified against me, because I blame myself for putting them in that situation. And what I do now, upon my release from prison, I go to youth detention centers and I try to talk to the youth on the streets to teach them. I use my experience, my life, so they can never fall in the same traps that I fell into. So they won't make the same bad and poor choices that I did. It took me away from my family and my loved ones for 27 years. Leonard is a good mentor for people. He talks to so many youths, he talks to people, and he helps people as best as he can. And he always gives good advice. Leonard is the kind of guy that if you can't figure it out, go to sit down with him. And he'll work with you. He'll sit down with you. And if he doesn't know the answer, he's going to try his best to find the answer. And the friendship that I have with Leonard is over 20 years. And although I'm not with him physically, I feel like he's right there with me. And I implore anybody, do your best, write a letter, write it to the president, write it to his judge, because he's a man who deserves a second chance. There's nobody on this planet that doesn't deserve a second chance. And he has done his time 10 times over. He deserves to be free with his family and loved ones. He deserves to come back into society because he can help the Indian community, to help them become better, to unify the people, and to build a bridge. Because through his experience in incarceration, Leonard has learned to build bridges with different organizations, with different groups, with different religions, with different people from all over the world. Because in the federal prison system, it's not like the state where you have people just from one state. You have people from all over the world. It could be from Russia, from Africa, from China, from New Zealand, all from Ireland, all over the world. And these are the people that you're going to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And he has learned how to not just speak with people, but how to motivate people, how to help people. And people look for him for guidance. They respect him as an elder. And it's not just in this prison, that's in every prison in the federal system. There's not a prison in the federal system, whether it's the penitentiaries or the FCIs, that they don't know Leonard Peltier. That tells you about his name. Because in prison, your word is your bond. And your word is you. And when people respect you, that means they respect your word. And for him to be able to be respected throughout the prison system, not just by inmates, but also by staff, it tells how much people admire him. It tells how much people respect him. And it also tells that he needs to be back in society with the people, to help people. Because right now, the youth that I've seen since I've come home are in shambles. They need guidance. They need leadership. And they need someone who's been in the system to reach them. Because a lot of people who work the 9 to 5, that whether it be their parents or their their friends. They don't understand the streets. They don't understand the underground society, as they call themselves. But we have been in that in the underground, and we can give them the guidance and let them know, listen, this is a place you might think that you like to go to, but trust me when I tell you, you'll never want to be there. And I don't wish this on anybody. I don't wish that anybody should be taken away from their family and loved ones, because when you're doing this type of time, we call ourselves the walking dead, because that's where you get that slogan, dead man walking. We are the walking dead. We're actually dead, but with a life sentence, and we're just still walking around. You don't want them. And I tell young people all the time, no matter how tough you might think you are and stuff, when they close that cell door, when they cut them lights off, I seen the toughest man cry, the strongest man cry. And there's no shame in that. But you don't have to be in that situation. You could avoid that situation by learning from people like myself, from learning from people like Leonard, and learning from people like Suniati, people who've been there, who've been in the trenches, that you don't have to go there. We want the best for society. And I think that people who are mobilizing to help Leonard come home, they're doing the best for society, because this is a man who deserves to be back in society with his family and loved ones. Is there anything else, anything that anyone to ask? Or is there anything that they feel I missed?
Well, there's a few,
Go on.
I'm sorry. There's a few
Yeah, I think
questions.
Dawn had a question, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to read out some of the questions, but I think you had one or two questions, Don, yeah? Actually, let's see.
I wanted to ask, number one, what does Leonard need most from us right now? Number two, how do we end the lockdowns?
Let me tell you something. We need to write letters to our congressmen, write letters to the head of the Bureau of Prisons, the director of Bureau of Prisons, because what's happening now is 20 years ago was unheard of. When I say it's unheard of, me and Leonard, we were in Leavenworth Penitentiary, which is a max 6. And the order for that prison to get locked down, someone had to get killed. Now, they lock down the prison if it's a fight in another unit. It's not even in your unit. They lock the whole prison down. They stop visiting, tasting. Now, when COVID came, COVID was a way that they used. They listen, we have to lock down because of COVID. We don't want to spread a COVID. But right now, COVID is over in society. And there's no reason for all the prisons to be locked down. There's no reason for, if a fight happens in another unit or a fight happens on the yard, that the prisons are locked down, where you don't even know what's going on. You're disturbing people from doing their daily activities, but most importantly, guys who are fighting their cases, guys who are in the courts. You have so many people in the courts now because so many of the laws are changing now, and they can't adequately fight their case because every time they turn around, there's lockdown. You talk to people on the phone, and I'm talking to family members and friends, and they said, Tiz, they're locking us down. I gotta go. And they're not locked down for like 5 minutes or an hour. They're locked down for days. For days, and And now when they're locked down, they're really not giving them no information of why, what reason they're locking down. So we need to write letters to the director of the BOP. We need to write letters to the regional directors. We need to write letters to our senators. We need to write letters to our congressmen and let them know that this is unacceptable. We have a brand new director for the Bureau of Prisons, and she needs to get in contact with all the wardens at all the prisons and fix the situation. Because if 20 years ago, you had prisons operating every single day, 365 days a year, and they're not locked down for little fights. Why is it now, 20 years later, the whole prison is locked down over a fight in another unit? It's unheard of. It was unheard of back then, and it shouldn't be Stanford now. They say that we're short of guards. Put an ad in the newspaper and hire officers. Simple as that. Taxpayers pay our taxes for officers to have jobs. And not only that officers have jobs, you have to train these officers in a way that they treat the inmates who are in their custody as humans, not as cattle, not as subhuman, not as animals, but as humans. Next question. Hold on for 1 second. Hello? Hello? Okay, thank you. Good night.
Jennifer, I think you had a question about when people are released, how can friends and family best help the person when they get out?
Yeah.
What everyone needs to do when a person comes from incarceration, especially after a long period of time, you have to give them some space. You know, a lot of times we want to crowd them with love and hugs, but it's going to be weird when you walk out that prison. It's like you're coming into a whole different world again, and it's going to take time for adjustment for that person. That person's going to need a financial support when they come out, because there's no funds. They don't have no money. They're going to need clothing. They're going to need somewhere to stay, and preferably, you know, depending on their age, they're going to need a job. And if they're age beyond job, then they're going to have to need someone to help them fill out the forms for whether it's for Social Security, or whether it's from disability, or whether it's from medical coverage. They're going to need help in all those little things that a lot of people take for granted. You know, we weren't here for Obamacare and all these different medical coverages they have. And they're going to need medical coverage, especially when you're sick in prison, you go down to the doctor's office. Out here is different, you know. So, you know, if you don't have coverage, you know, you're going to get taxed, you know. So it's little small things that people might not take for granted that, you know, that we need. You're going to need funds. You're going to need somewhere to stay. You're going to need clothing. And you're just going to need that support, like, you know, and give him air, give him a little space. So when he gets up, because you might wake up in the morning and run in the kitchen, open the refrigerator, get your stuff for coffee. All that's going to be weird to him. Because when I came out, I walked in, you know, we have a condo, and I walked and I just was like mesmerized. I'm just looking around, and because your mind is still focused on a prison cell. And now you're looking like, I'm not in the cell no more. And I'm laying on a king size bed and like, wow. And you wake up in the morning and there's nobody saying count time. No 4 o'clock count, no 5 o'clock count in the morning. No one's taking up, because you used to, for years, a flashlight is in your face. Imagine you waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, someone flashing light in your face. This is what we go through every single day, 365 days a year. They count. They count at 5 o'clock in the morning. They count sometimes at 8 o'clock in the morning. They count at 10 o'clock. They count at 4 o'clock. They count at 9 o'clock. Then they count at 12 o'clock. So it's constant counts. So if you see him, like him or her, when they come out and they look like they want to stand up at a certain time, because it's the time is already in their head. They might, 5 o'clock in the morning, you see them move around and stuff. Why they gotta move around? Because it's the count time and stuff. So they might, open the refrigerator and just staring at it, just looking inside the refrigerator, because you're not used to being able to do these things. So, it's overwhelming, trust me. In a good way, not in a bad way, but in a good way. Anything else?
Sam, you know Leonard. What does he need from us right now? What is the best thing we can do to keep his spirits up? I know he likes to laugh.
Probably just if we all just pull together and contact Biden and ask him to free Leonard. That's be the best thing. And yeah, and just let him know that we're still thinking about him, and write letters and just but mostly just let's try and get him out.
Right now, Leonard needs letters. And if everyone could just write a letter recommending that he be released, and send that letter to his attorney, and send a copy to the president. That is the most important thing Leonard needs right now, more than anything else. I mean, they're supposed to be getting like podcasts, I think they call them, little iPads or something. So, I mean, outside of financial, money on it, because you can only spend like a certain amount of money in prison. It's not like on the streets you could spend as much as you have. But he needs letters. That's what he needs right now. This moment that we're in right now is a very important moment for Leonard Peltier. Did I get cut off or something like that? Hello?
Can you hear
We're
us?
still going.
Yeah, okay, because everything went blank. I was wondering if I was still on there. Yeah, he needs letters. That's the best thing. If you could send a letter to his lawyer, and send a letter to President Biden for his release. And why? Why do you think he should be released? Not just because, I read about him in a book, or I heard he's a good person, but he is a good person. And the qualities he has can help other people. And he's a person that will open his heart up for someone he doesn't even know. And this is he'd been doing this in prison before I came to prison. Leonard has been in prison going on 40-something years. That's a long time. When I say the day he walks out of that prison, I'm going to cry for joy, because no one deserves to be incarcerated that long. Believe it or not, because of my incarceration, I couldn't even put a dog. I have a chow chow. I couldn't even put a dog on a leash or on confine him in a cage. I can't, because I know how it feels. You know, my child's name is Chubbs, and when I first got him, I used to keep him on my porch, and he'd be crying and stuff. I know how he felt. I open the door, come on in, because it's hard to explain the feeling, like the walls are closing in on you. You're in a 6x9, 9x12, 9x6 cell. And sometimes it's so overwhelming that it feels like it's just closing in on you. But when you get them letters that people are writing on your behalf to the president, or writing on your behalf to the judges, that's going to uplift Leonard. Trust me when I tell you, that's what he needs to hear more than anything else. I mean, we can send him money for his commissary, and we can write him letters for himself to talk to him and stuff. But them letters for his freedom is the most important thing he needs right now. Anything else?
I just wanted to say I put a web address in there. If you want to email me a letter, I will print and send it for you. info@freeleonardpeltiernow.com. Leonard asked for 100,000 letters to the president. Let's try to do that.
Let's try to give him 200,000.
Good point, Sam. Do you have Tubbs with you?
Nah, he's not. He's at the office.
Oh, I would love to see Tubbs. Okay.
Yeah, he's a beautiful
Anybody
child.
else got anything for Sam?
I'm quite sure somebody got a question.
I know I spoke with you not long after you got out, and it is horrendously weird. I mean, just not having to wear shoes in the shower, you know, and it is really important to give people their space and not expect them to want to jump up and run out to coffee with you and have a, you know, link hands and sing Kumbaya and celebrate and all that.
I had a quick question. It may or may not be quick, but Sam, I wondered, given all the lockdowns, like that, have you had a chance to be in touch with Leonard at all?
Actually, my brother-in-law is in the block with Leonard, and yeah, I was in touch with him this morning. He's doing well. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. He needs letters. He needs letters. He needs letters. And he requested 100,000. Let's try to make 200,000. You know,
yeah,
we can do it if we. It doesn't take 10, 15 minutes to write a letter to the president. You don't have to put it on a elaborate envelope, or you don't have to type it up. You can write in your whole handwriting and just let him know, you know, he deserves a second chance. You know, he's done the time. He deserves to come out, and he's going to be a benefit to society. He's not going to be a menace to society. He's going to be a benefit to society.
yeah.
He's going to be and even when you have a situation with a person who could be a mediator to people who are having conflict, that's what he can do. He can quelch situations that's happening in the Indian community and other communities. And it doesn't have to be just the Indian community, other communities. He knows how to reach out to people, and people respect him. That's why we need him out now. Not next year, right now. This year. We need him out this year. He's done the time. He doesn't need to do any more time. We want him out this year. And how we're going to make that happen is by everyone writing these letters to the president, to judges, free Leonard Peltier. It's not gonna cost you no money to write a letter. So some people might say, well, I don't have the money to put up. It's not gonna cost you no money. It's only gonna cost you a stamp. That's all it's gonna cost you is a stamp. Matter of fact, you don't even got to do the, I think you could put it on the email now and stuff. You don't even need a stamp no more. That's the way technology is right now. Dawn has put an address out there that you can send it to that site, and it goes directly to President Biden or directly to the judges. Let's try to make 200,000 letters today. We can do that today. That's free, Leonard.
Yeah,
It's
you
my
can.
friend.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to say, more the technology. You can even text the president now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Let's give him some texts.
yes.
Yeah.
So I was curious too. Do you have any idea what Leonard's health is like right now at this point?
Now, let me tell you about what happened to me. In 2018, my blood pressure was 205, no, 265 over 205. I was rushed to the hospital. They thought I would die. They said I should have been dead. And I was on high blood pressure medication. Believe me, when I say, when you walk out that door, it's like 1,000 pounds come off of you. The day I walked out of prison, my pressure right now, I'm still taking medication, but my pressure right now is like 109 over 70. Like a youngster. And it was never like that while I was incarcerated. You don't realize how much stress he's going through. And the older your person gets in prison, the more challenging it is for his medical conditions. Because a lot of times the inside facility can't accommodate his needs. And in order for him to get real good medical coverage, he has to go out in society. And it's so much that they put you through to go on a medical run. Sometimes guys just refuse it because they don't want to go through all the shackling and stuff like that just for medical, just go see a doctor out on the outside. So I don't know exactly what Leonard's health is at this particular time, but you know, you got to look at his age, and you're not going to get the best medical attention while you're incarcerated. They're going to give you good medical attention, the best I guess they can, but you're going to get better medical attention when you're on the streets. And I believe the day that he comes out, and that's one of the things that should be in his petition, his medical health. You know, he's an elderly man now. He's not a youngster no more. And as we get older, we have, you know, all kinds of conditions, whether it's diabetes, whether it's high cholesterol, whether it's high hypertension. And everybody who's incarcerated are susceptible to all these at the same time. And we need to get them out because they're not going to give them the best treatment while you're incarcerated. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get the best medical treatment while you're incarcerated. You're not even going to get the best medicines. They're going to give you trial medicines that they're trying and stuff. A lot of the medicines that you need to get that he might be required, the BOP might not put on their list of approved medicines. And you can only get what's on the BOP approved medicines. So those are the things that you should put in a letter when you write in the president, that this is one reason why he should be freed, because of his health situation and his age and lack of getting the professional medical that he needs to sustain himself as a person. Most people's animals, the dogs and cats, get better treatment than an inmate. And that's a fact. Anything else? Oh yeah, about the shower shoes. That's another thing. It took me a minute to get in the shower without shower shoes. You're so used to, listen, when in the penitentiary, not only do you go to shower shoes, you take your boots, you walk to the shower with your boots on. You take your boots off, your shower shoes in your hand, your boots are on your feet. That's how you walk to the shower. That's how he's walking to the shower. It's an unnatural situation, but you get so used to that because in prison, anything can happen at any time. And you always have to protect yourself at all times. I'm looking forward for the day that he doesn't have to be in that situation no more. That he can be able to go into the shower with his shoes off and feel like a human being again. Take the shower. If you want to stay in the shower for 3 hours, you can stay for 3 hours. Not no 5-minute showers or 10-minute showers. You know?
Hey guys, I got sample letters on his website for the POP director, the president, everybody else. If you want to email me a letter, I will print and send it for you. I sent out 80 the other day. So thank you for those.
We need that, Dawn.
Sorry for interrupting.
We need everybody taking 5-10 minutes out of your day. 5-10 minutes out of your day. If you don't want to do a letter, then do a text. But is he worth 5 or 10 minutes to you? Ask yourself that question. Is Leonard Peltier worth 5 minutes of my time? And that's all we're asking for. 5 minutes of your time. But that 5 minutes is going to change his life. That 5 minutes that you're going to give us is going to change his life. And when he comes out, he's going to change other people's lives. That's what he's going to do. I guarantee it. He's going to change other people's lives for the better. He's worth 5 minutes of your time.
Thank you, Samuel. You've given me some really good talking points. Thank you for getting us all fired up.
I hope so. I hope if I could just reach one person to write one letter or one text, then I know I did something tonight.
I figure he can do 47 years for us. I can write a fucking letter.
Exactly. Can you imagine 47 years? 47 years incarcerated in a 9-by-6 cell for 47 years. For 47 years, every day didn't count. For 47 years, every day was the same. No one needs to be treated or put in that position to be incarcerated from society for 47 years. Leonard's a good man. And this staff who's probably listening to this podcast tonight or the Zoom, whether it's the wardens, whether it's COs, you all know that this man deserves to come home. And if there's federal agents listening to this, this man deserves to come home. He's done his time. He deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves a second chance. They said this country was built on second chances. Then this man deserves a second chance. There's so many people who've been incarcerated, who've been given second chances, and none besides one has done the amount of time Leonard Peltier has done. So let's give this man a second chance to come back to society, to help build this society to a better place. This man can help us. And all we ask is 5 minutes of your time. Write this letter. Send this text. Write letters to the director of the BOP. We're concerned about his condition. We're concerned about the conditions that's happening in Coleman USP. We're concerned. We want to know, why are these inmates constantly being locked down? What's the justification for them constantly being locked down? When their families come to visit them, they kick them off the visiting room floor. Some of them are coming from out of state. They're not getting reimbursed for their time, for their travel expenses, for nothing. And they're not even told anything. This is not what America stands for. This is not how the prison system used to be. It never was like this. We hope that the director is listening to this tonight. Please, we implore you, change the conditions of these prisons.
I called Regional to ask about the lockdowns. He said it's none of your business. Have a nice day, and hung up on me.
Write a letter. See, a letter, when you write a letter, they have to respond. You can make a phone call and hang it up, but write a letter, and they have to respond. Send a text. You see, the text is, when you send a text, it never goes away. Ask President Trump. They never go away. So,
You know, I was going to say, you know, if each one of us not only wrote a letter, but talked to just one other person, one
That's what I
friend of ours, and said, here's what's going on. Do you think you could text or do a letter? And do you think you could talk to one other person?
exactly.
And go from there.
And that's how we pay it forward. That's how we pay it forward.
Just out of curiosity, during these lockdowns, are religious rights being
No
withheld as well?
religious services.
Huh?
No religious services. No
Okay.
movement.
Okay.
And religious service was used to be a top priority, but under the COVID, they changed the whole system. So when it's locked down, no movement. There's no movement whatsoever. There used to be at times that they would escort guys to religious service, but now they're not, because their statement is, we're short on staff. So we don't have enough officers to escort them to religious services. So there's no movement. You're just locked in yourself. I speak to guys in prison all the time, and they haven't had really religious service since the pandemic started in 2000, right before 2020. So we need some answers about that too, because these are the things that balances a person who's incarcerated: their religious services, their educational, their physical activities. This balances a person. And when you remove that from that person, you disrupt their day-to-day activity, and they get messed up. And this is the reason why you got so many young people incarcerated in the prison system. They're constantly fighting all the time because they're locked up like in a cage. Imagine you being in a cage 24 hours a day. It feels like that the walls are closing in on you. And they open you out. They say, well, you can get 5 minutes for a shower, or 5 minutes, half an hour for phone calls. And then you got to go back in your cell. Or they bring this, and now they got the traps. So they just bring the food to you, open the cell, and that's it. It's not a life that anyone should be living. And the quality of life in the prison system now is gotten worse. And we need to have some answers of why. Why wasn't 20 years ago the same amount of staff that you had? Why were they able to manage all the inmates, whether it's 2,500 inmates, 1,500 inmates, and a normal operation successfully when they had murders. Why were they able to successfully be able to do this? And now you have less inmates and it constantly locked down. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Something is wrong. And we need the answers. And we hope that the new director for the BOP will give us the answers or change the conditions that's going on in the prison systems, so it will be better for all the people who live in the prisons. As an inmate, we live there. The officers, they just work there, but we live there every single day. And the officers have to be trained so they respect the inmates, and they will get that respect back to the officer. When you have an officer who respects inmates, trust me, you know what happens to that officer? The hours that he works in that prison is the best hours for him. He has no problems. It's the ones who don't respect inmates who has the problem. When you have an officer who respects a man, people respect people. When you respect me, I'm gonna respect you. But if you disrespect me, I'm not gonna respect you. That's how it goes. You have to have trained officers and train them on how to, diffuse the situation. A lot of times these officers escalate situations in prisons over one milk.
Can I just say, when you're complaining about prison conditions, it's best not to mention Leonard's name. We don't want him associated with problems. If you're writing the president, that's when you mention Leonard's name.
Okay, yeah. We want the prison system to be helped for everybody who's in there. But mostly important right now, our focus right now tonight is to free Leonard Peltier. And the letters should be free Mr. Leonard Peltier, who has been incarcerated for 47 years and who has maintained his innocence for 47 years. This man deserves a second chance at freedom. This man deserves a second chance to be with his community, his family, his loved ones, and society, because he can help his family, the community, his loved ones, and he can help society. He deserves a second chance. Thank you so much for hearing me and inviting me for this platform for tonight. I thank everybody, and I hope everyone will take 5 minutes out of their time and write a small letter or write a text to help free Leonard Peltier.
Well,
Thank
Samuel,
You
we
are
really
epic,
appreciate it.
Samuel.
We really appreciate you coming tonight and everything. And if everybody would keep in touch with Dawn, because she has all the emails and addresses that everybody needs to send these letters, and the phone numbers for phone calls if you want to call. But like Samuel said, if you call, they'll hang up on you, but writing letters is the best to do. And passing it forward. Ask one of your friends to do it. Ask your family to send letters. If they will add up, and like Samuel said, let's do the 2,000 letter challenge, 200,000. And see if we can't help Leonard get out, and see if we can't help the prisons reform a little bit more, because I thought that's what prisons were for anyway, to reform.
Yeah.
But evidently they're not. But we're just grateful you're here and you were able to be with us, Samuel. We appreciate it.
you.
Will you come back again?
Oh, yes, I will. I definitely
We sure would appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'll be glad to come back.
You
And I'm hoping
truly
to
are
be there.
epic.
I'm hoping to hear that Leonard's going to get free this year.
We sure hope so. We're counting on it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sam. And Catherine, do you have any information about next week? You have to unmute though. No? Okay.
Okay, let's see. Well, before then, on the 10th of October, we have Dawn hosting a Leonard Peltier art show on the 10th of October. And
Indigenous Peoples Day.
and it's something that definitely needs to be honored. Also on the 13th, we have Richard Way Whitman. He is an Oklahoma teaching artist, plays old man on reservation dogs. And so we are greatly honored to have him come on the 13th. But do remember Indigenous Day on the 10th, we are having the Leonard Peltier art show.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You can check
be
on the
there.
Facebook page for the time for that. And
Okay.
Sam, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
so much
you.
for having me.
And
Appreciate it.
thank everybody for coming tonight. We really do appreciate it. And we hope to see you on the 10th and the 13th.
Have a good evening.
So y'all
All
have
right,
a good
good night.
evening. Love y'all.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.